Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Brannon, and I'm the owner of Hugs and Hustle, which is a marketing coaching business. So we really focus on helping business owners strengthen their operations and their leadership skills so that they can withstand all the growth that's going to happen in their company, specifically towards any kind of marketing efforts moving forward in their company. And we serve mostly multi-location business owners, but really any kind of established business owner who leads a team is totally our jam. And yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about who I am. I'm so thankful that you joined me today on this awesome webinar. Thank you, Mary, for having me. And I know that the topic sounds a little weird, but making enemies and turning people away. And so today I just want you to come with an open mind, an open heart, learning maybe a different perspective about some things and some blockages in your life and in your business moving forward. And bring your notebook, and I hope you have your coffee, and we're gonna dive in. And so the first thing that I want to say is, if you're servicing all, we're going to challenge that today. So bear with me. If you're servicing all, just if you have your notebook, write that on your paper, who you're specifically serving. And so, you know, most of the time I work with real estate companies, and they focus on all real estate agents, right? And maybe their niching down could look like, well, I service selling agents, right? So if you have that kind of like overarching ideal client, go ahead and write that down so we can come back to that at the end of this. And just so you know too, if you have any questions throughout this webinar, make sure that you type it in the comments. I'll be checking kind of periodically throughout, but I'm going to answer any questions at the end of this as well. And so we'll leave some time at the end to answer any questions that you have. And yeah, today, you know, I had a presentation for you, like a whole PowerPoint slide thing. But I decided to just have a conversation. And so today it's educational, but maybe in a more relaxed, friendly way. And so we're really just going to talk about just some limiting beliefs. We're going to try to shift some things. I want you to walk away from this having an experience and having some tools to be able to implement in your day-to-day business life, not just another thing that you've learned added to the list, right? Okay, so focusing on making enemies and turning people away. Have any of you experienced in your business journey, type in the comments if you've experienced anybody who has made you feel like one decision or, you know, saying no to a prospect or a client or lowering your rates. If there's been anybody in your business career that has kind of made you feel like heavy about that, and like that was going to ruin any opportunity for you to move forward in your business, type that in the comments if you have. I'll give it a second. And so most of the time when we have somebody, or even just a scenario, and it could even be our own like voice inside of our head that has decided that opportunities are rare and we can't miss out, right? And so anytime that we say no or we experience rejection, it feels really heavy, which is why I named it Making Enemies and Turning People Away, because it kind of feels like that. It feels that heavy where it's like, oh no, they're going to hate me forever because I told them no, or oh no, I'm turning people away and, you know, the opportunity is gone. And so I encourage you to revisit this thought process. And we're going to look at it in a different light. So making enemies, let's switch that to boundary setting. So let's look at it in a different light, right? That you're not making enemies, you're setting clear boundaries. And you're not turning people away necessarily, you're just getting really dialed in on who you serve, what you're servicing, and how well you do it. And so this could go on and on about business because there's so many different scenarios that we could talk about with turning people away, whether it be, you know, offering discounts maybe to just get the sale, or, you know, going to some kind of event that maybe just isn't very aligned with you, but you feel this kind of guilt inside that you have to show up because otherwise, you know, you're going to miss some big opportunity, right? And so there's a lot of guilt attached to different things that we experience in business. And so again, just switch that making enemies to I'm boundary setting, right? And switch turning people away into I'm dialed in on my process and who I serve. Sorry, I'm checking chats as I'm doing this. And so, you know, I want you to think of the one person who has ever said to you, don't miss out on this opportunity, whether it be an ad, because for some reason, a lot of people just bank on that in ads, or somebody that's a mentor or somebody in your business circle saying, don't miss out on this opportunity, which insinuates that opportunities are rare, right? And again, we're coming back to this whole rejection thing, because that's really at the core of this is, we don't want to be rejected, right? Now, this is something that I just teach a lot with my clients is rejection is redirection. And this is so, so important to hone in on, because the thing is a lot of us identify within our business. And so let me explain that a little bit. Have you ever said, my business is my baby? It's my baby. It's, I care so much about it, or especially for the people who are branding themselves, for example, real estate agents, you kind of are the business. Like your brand is you. But the problem with that is we identify with our business. And so anytime that we turn people away or we say no, we make these boundaries, we really dial in, which excludes others, it feels like rejection. And it feels like rejection because we're so deeply identified with our own business that it feels personal. Like it feels like you just asked somebody out on a date and they said, no, I don't like you. Like that is literally how it feels sometimes in business when we get a no, or we get, someone that's upset with us because we've done something, or we're not going to offer the discount and they just get upset. It feels heavy because it is technically a rejection, which is why it's so important to separate you from your business. Because if you have it separated, now, again, with personal branding, it gets harder, but you have to separate it. This business is just the vehicle in which I make money. It is not me. It is not my worth, right? We get all the people who are like, charge your worth. It's like, no, charge the value that your business provides, right? So we can make these little shifts in how we speak about ourselves and how we speak about our business on the day-to-day, but it is going to take some habit building to be able to shift that, because just like anything, it takes practice over and over and over again. Mary and I were talking earlier about athletes. It's the same concept. Building a muscle, it takes consistency. It takes showing up and working the same muscle. And so I encourage you to just start shifting some of these beliefs and some of these things, these core pillars that we have in our brain about the reality of things, right? Which is a lot of the times they said no to me in business. So that means I was rejected. And so I encourage you to look at it differently. If you get a no in business, it's just data, right? Because again, this business is just a vehicle in which I make money, right? So I'm going to make an example of followers on Instagram. We're going to go there because I think I think this is one of the biggest ones and the biggest misconceptions when it comes to social media is more followers equals more sales, right? Or, if you have a low amount of followers, you cannot make money. For my business that I had before this, before I pivoted, I had 300 followers and I was making 6 figures. 300 followers. Now, what was the difference between, having 10,000 followers and 300 followers? I was really dialed in on who I served and what I did and what was specific to me. And I just stood in that uniqueness boldly, right? But it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was something that I had to consistently work on, showing up with that energy and that type of person. And so the question isn't, what do I need to do? It's who do I need to become, right? Who do I need to become to show up consistently? What needs to die off, right? Habit-wise and that kind of person who's not showing up consistently. How can I switch that? And who can I become to be consistent? What does that look like? And so we kind of got off topic there a little bit, but That's pretty much that's how that full circle there right there. But I encourage you to look at rejection as just redirection. And so when we're turning people away, or even when, we think they're potential clients and they say no, it is not personal rejection. It is rejection to your business and the framework. And that, again, it doesn't have anything to do with you personally. It's just your business. And so we have to take that as data. We have to say, okay, so I offered this new offer, for example, and 3 people said no. Okay, so I can either be upset about that, or I can take that and get curious about why. And I can say, okay, well, they said no, and they explained to me it was a no because of this reason. So either I need to strengthen this, or I need to get rid of this, right? And so it just takes the emotion out of it. And again, that's really, really hard when we are in our businesses, still working in it, and it's kind of a part of us because we created it, right? But I encourage you to really separate that. Separate you and your business. It is just data, and rejection is just redirection. Can I get an amen? Just kidding. But again, opportunities aren't rare. And this is something that I had to learn over and over again because of the people I was surrounded with. So I was surrounded with the people who had that mindset that opportunities are rare and I am missing out. I don't know if you've ever heard the term FOMO, but that is fear of missing out. And that is real. And especially in business, we feel like, okay, if I don't get on this platform, I'm going to miss out on something and opportunities and people and clients. If I don't go to this event, I'm going to miss out and blah, 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 blah. If you're making an informed decision for your business, because again, you are the sole business decision maker, like that's it. If you own the company, you are the decision maker for your business. If you decide, you know what, I really don't have the energy to show up today, that's okay. You're not going to miss out on any kind of specific opportunity because opportunities come and go. And there's going to be something around the corner for you next that you'll be able to show up with better energy and secure the client. Because think about it, if you show up and, maybe there was an opportunity for a client to secure, but you had bad energy, you're not going to secure that client. And it would be better for you not to show up. Self-care, try again next time. Does that make sense? It's kind of back to back here. But yeah, so opportunities are not rare. And I think a lot of people just need that kind of permission to understand that they're not, and continue to show up in your business. That is going to be the best decision for your business. And especially if you are the face of your company, it is very important to secure your energy and make sure that you go in with the best energy possible. And so let's talk about this mindset, right? This mindset of opportunities are rare. It's rooted in scarcity. And so if this is something that you're struggling with, just know that, first of all, there's nothing wrong with thinking like that. You're probably thinking like that because those are the kind of people that you've had surrounded with you, where they're in this almost like, it's just fear, really, is more than anything. It's just fear. And so being in a scarcity mindset, you have to, again, rewire those beliefs. You have to reframe how you're saying things to yourself or the questions that you're asking yourself. And so when we act in fear and we act in scarcity, we kind of feel like, okay, there's not enough for me here. There's just not enough. I'm never going to make, more money. I'm never going to get more clients. If I don't take this opportunity right now, there's not going to be another one like that. And again, what is that rooted in? It's rooted in fear, a feeling that there's not enough to go around. Now, anybody that's been in business a while, I know you guys can attest to that not being a true statement. There is plenty to go around if you show up consistently and you're doing the work, putting in the work to just really find the best clients that your business can help. And so I really encourage you to, if the thing that you're struggling with is fear, to just sit with that and give yourself permission to be fearful. But here's the thing, fear is just the energy of excitement. So something that's been helping me lately is anytime that I feel like I'm slipping into scarcity mindset, anytime I feel that I am in fear of something not being enough, or I'm not going to make this deadline, or I'm not going to achieve this goal, I have to stop, first of all, and just give myself permission to feel it, right? It's the catch and release. But then also say, you know what? I choose to be excited about this, because that fear is just anxiety, and it's just energy, kind of like if you have like ADD, I have ADD, so I'm like all over the place all the time. And that is fear, but like balled up in this condensed thing. And so if you are experiencing that, first of all, action absorbs anxiety. So anytime that you're feeling like that, I encourage you to get up and move your body in some kind of crazy way. It doesn't really matter what it is. Get up and do jumping jacks, but move the energy around, and then choose excitement. Choose to be excited. And sometimes it sucks, and you have to sit and you have to like really rack your brain around, okay, how can I be excited about this thing that I'm fearful about? And I have a thing on the chat. There we go. And so one of the good examples that we can look at with fear versus excitement is we can say, okay, I'm afraid to go to this networking event. Let's talk about networking, because social register, right? So I'm afraid to go to this in-person networking event. I'm afraid that I will freeze up and I won't know what to say, or I'm going to stand on the wall. Sit with it. Accept that that is the fear. Speak it out loud, because usually when we speak it out loud, it's not as scary anyways. And then after that, ask yourself, how can I be excited about this? How can I look at this from a point of view that's excitement? And I know some people are like, yeah, rolling their eyes like, okay, great. Because most of the time when you're in the moment, when it comes to something like that, you're not in a place of like, what these mindset people crack me up, because they're like, just be calm. And it's like, no, I'm going crazy right now. And so you you have to remember to like say it out loud. Just get it out. If you're like really struggling, get it out. ADHD here, yep. Same. But just get it out. Speak it out. You know those scary movies, and I think the movie is Signs. I love that movie, but they have this elusive creature and you can't really see. It's all like in the shadows, and you know, it seems a lot scarier in our minds while we're creating this image of what this looks like as it's hiding, right? But then there's one scene in Signs where it like pans to the creature and it just looks like a person. And it just becomes less scary. I don't know, maybe not for you, but for me, I was like, oh, well, that's not that scary. Like, it just looks like me. And so that's the same thing with fear. And when we have these thoughts in our heads, they tend to hide in the shadows. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to speak it out loud. But the moment that we just say it out loud, it's like, you know what? I'm afraid to go to this networking event. I'm scared. It becomes a little less scary. And then you have something to work with to reframe that statement, where it's like, I'm excited to go to this networking event because I have an opportunity to meet new people. I have an opportunity to meet a potential client. I have an opportunity to make a connection that might bring me more opportunities in the future. And so I encourage you to just take that fear, speak it out loud, and reframe it into excitement. And if you have to do that while you're doing jumping jacks, great. Close the doors, you don't look crazy, but great. I love that. I'm going to definitely try that. Feels like I always freeze and I get so much anxiety. Yes. Yes. I have suffered with anxiety my whole life, and I totally, totally understand you. It is. It's freezing. And especially when you're in business and you get on, you know, first of all, the fact that you're in a networking group, amazing, because that's terrifying, right? We're like, anxiety is like, I'm not going in that room. But it really, really helps to just get up, twerk, shake your head, shimmy. It doesn't matter what it is. Do the wave, like whatever is going to help you. And I have a feel good playlist on Spotify I created of just like really encouraging lyrics. That's a really big thing, because our subconscious will take in what it is that we're listening to and see. So positive lyrics, really good beats. I have a playlist that I just, even in the worst parts when I can't speak it out loud, I stick that playlist on and I just move my body, and it helps me kind of break down that wall that your body just shoots up for whatever reason when anxiety comes, whatever that looks like. And then I try my best to turn it into excitement, or try to see the opposite side of it. So every shadow has a light, and every light has a shadow. So try to see the light when you're in the shadows. It's hard when you have anxiety, but I'm glad you're going to try it. Exercising that muscle. Woohoo. Yes. Okay. So the next little phase we're going to go into here is the shoulds. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever had the shoulds before, but I've experienced this a lot in business, meaning I should be doing this to be successful. Well, maybe I should do this. Well, maybe I have to do this to be successful. That comes a lot from just the old kind of business mindset, again, attached to that scarcity mindset, attached to fear, attached to opportunities are rare. And I'll just tell a quick story. So when I first started my business, I was 18, and it has evolved tremendously since then. But I started I did entertainment, but then it turned into like event coordinating. And I kept making pivots and decisions in my business for other people, because I was being told that that's what I should look like and I should be doing to be successful. And if it looked like this, it wasn't going to be successful, even though it was my business and I was the decision maker in my business, right? I mean, I don't know if anybody's experienced that. I'm sure at some point in life, let me know if you have. But someone just, and it might not be direct, and it might not be someone, it might be a group of people. And again, just be careful who you surround yourself with. But just making you feel like this is what this should look like for you to be successful. And guess what? I did it for years, and I ended up being burnt out. I could not stand working with my clients because I hated what I did, because I made a whole business on what I should be doing. It's just, yes, and beating yourself up after speaking to someone. Yeah. But it's just like lining up a business and making these certain decisions and what you should be doing to be successful. And just remember that success looks different for everybody. What I think is successful is going to be totally different from what you think is successful, or it might look the same, but there's going to be different things that are attached to that. And you know where it all comes from? Your childhood, how you were raised, how you have evolved over time, and the type of people that you've been around. And we all just absorb these pillars in our life of beliefs and what we believe to be absolute truth in our lives, which explains the state of the world right now and everybody's opinions. But that is literally how it is for business as well. And so someone's success could, like, for me, I don't necessarily want like $1 billion business. Like, I want to be financially free. I want to have time freedom. I want to be able to serve the best clients in the best way that I can with like 1 or 2 services, not like all these different services. That's successful for me. Now, someone else's success, now I know tons of people, like they're my friends, where they want $1 billion business. They want to grow some kind of agency. They want the flashy car and the big house and and that's all just core from their childhood and what they've been taught and things that they believe about themselves. And there's no right or wrong about that. It's just different, which is why you have to step into the power of being the CEO within your business. You have to be bold about it. Absolutely. Because if you don't, your business becomes the image of someone else's opinions and core beliefs in their own life. If you wanted that, you shouldn't make a business, because that's not your business, right? And the ideals and beliefs of yourself being the pillars of your business. So make decisions for yourself and your business, and know everybody's idea of success is totally, totally different. Something that helped me is I ask myself a lot of questions. A lot of questions going on over here. But I learned this through anxiety and just owning a business and being chaotic all the time, was just sometimes it looks like journaling. Sometimes journaling is a good thing. I try my best to implement that consistently. I haven't got it down to like a day and a time. And that has to just do with being a woman, and we're on different cycles. Like women are on the moon cycle while men are on the sun cycle day to day. So they handle routine a little bit better. That's a different webinar. We'll get there. But you know, as far as like at least a couple times a week, I try to journal and just get stuff out of my brain. I call it like my CEO time and journaling time, right? But if I can't journal, I have these questions written down that I can, almost like a resource hub where I can go and ask myself these questions if I'm dealing with something. So if I'm dealing with a decision that I maybe feel isn't necessarily my decision, or I can't decipher between, is this really something that I'm choosing, or is this something that I've been influenced to do? And so one of the questions is, and this is good for anything in life. This is a great question. Will this choice add to my life force, or will this rob me of my energy? If you have a notebook, I want you to write this down. Will this choice add to my life force, or will this rob me of my energy? Type it in the chat for your neighbor. One more time. Will this choice add to my life force, or will this rob me of my energy? So good. And you can already imagine the different type of scenarios you can ask this question in, right? And this is great to remember, because it's like, oh, I'm going to go do this. And it's like, whoa, is this going to give to me, or is it going to take? That's an easier way to remember it, right? The next question is this an act of faith, or is this an act of fear? Great question. Great question. Another way to say that is, am I trusting the process, or am I operating out of scarcity? Great, right? So I'm going to ask it again. Write this one down too. Is this an act of faith, or is this an act of fear? Or if you resonate with this question better, am I trusting the process, or am I operating out of scarcity? Both great questions to ask, and you can write both those down again. Again, type it in the chat for your neighbor. But when we talk about that fear, again, that thing that lives, and it's good. It keeps us safe. It's not a bad thing. It's just like the ego. It keeps us safe. It's kind of cute when you try to look at it like as a little kid, where it's like, hey, we're safe. It's all right. Thanks for trying to protect me, but we've got it. We're good. Fear can be anything. It could be fear of rejection, fear of not making a sale, fear that there will be no more opportunities to make money, fear that I can't secure this client, fear that I'll never have a fruitful relationship, fear that I won't be able to bear children. The fear list can go on, and it might not be as heavy as those last couple ones, but and again, just like success looks different to everybody, fear looks different to everybody. But you know what the paradigm of fear is, and that one solid thing that's just at the center of every fear everybody has, mostly, is fear of failure, fear of rejection. It's that feeling of, oh, I'm just not good enough. Oh, this just isn't going to work out. And when you have these thoughts in your head, and they come up, and especially my people with anxiety, which is most people, we have these thoughts constantly. We're like overworking brain, where we have like a million different thoughts, and we have a million different scenarios in our head. It's so important to combat that first thought, that first negative thought, right, with a positive one. So important to do that, because we can't necessarily control the first thought that pops into our head, because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes we get this intrusive thoughts that are like, whoa, where did that come from? What? That wasn't me. They're called intrusive thoughts, and they're not necessarily coming from our brain or our core. It's just like our brain overworking and just sends us this random thought. It's always important to combat every negative thought with a positive one immediately. If you can get into that habit, it helps like unwind and kind of rewire a little bit of like how you're thinking about the scenario, because again, it's all about how we're viewing what is going on in the world. And our reality can either be something that's happening for us, or it could be a reality of something happening to us. And so between the both, we want everything to be happening for us, right? Not necessarily to us, like, we're the victim and things just happen only to us. And it's only this, I've only been through this scenario. Most of the time, plenty of other people have gone through it. And that's why it's good to find community like Social Register. It's great. You have other business owners looking to network and grow. And so you're able to, when you can, and if you can, be vulnerable about the different scenarios that you're going through in your life and your business to kind of see somebody else's experience with it. It might help you move forward in whatever direction that you need to go. Like everything that you go through and I go through, to me, when I think of, if I'm going through a rough time, I just think, okay, this is someone else's survival guide that I'm going through right now. And so let me see how this is working for me, which is really hard to do when you're in the moment. Again, like there's certain scenarios that are really dark and really heavy, and it's hard to see that kind of light thought process. But the more that you practice it with smaller things, because it's really just all about the small things, the more you practice it day to day, you're able to practice it in the bigger moments. And I think it's Atomic Habits by James Clear. I love that book. If you haven't read it, write it down. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Really great book. And I do audiobooks mostly to help me. So I'm constantly doing stuff, so I have it in the earbuds. But he says, life's success is all about the things that we do 1% every day. Just 1%. Not, these aren't really to-do lists, but they kind of look like it on the on the Post-it notes. I'm like a Post-it note psycho. But it's not necessarily about checking off these big things and the big, events that happen in our life. It's all about the little things that we're doing day to day to move the needle 1% in our business and our life for improvement. In whatever way that looks to you, show up 1%. Don't put this heaviness of having to show up 50% every day, because I'm tired thinking about it. Okay, so let's see where we move into. I have my notes here and I have a little bit here. So if you see me look everywhere, that's kind of what's going on. Okay, so we're going to kind of move from this into more of like how we're going to step boldly, right? How we're going to show up unapologetically in our own skin, in our own business. This is a huge topic, and mostly because people are confused as to, okay, should I post this on my business page, but it's more personal? I get that all the time. Well, what should I post that's going to be okay to post in business, that's okay to post in personal? Now, you can say anything, but it's all about your threshold and the things that you feel like sharing in your life. I think a lot with social media, it's hard because there's tons of people oversharing, or, maybe not oversharing. To some people, it's not like that. But just sharing a ton of really personal things. And so you have to ask yourself, what am I comfortable with sharing on my business? And what am I comfortable with sharing on my personal? For me, I have I don't know if this is the word, but coagulated. Maybe that's not the word. I don't know. Don't come to me for words and definitions and all that stuff. I'm just a coach. I'm not a word coach, but I kind of combined, there we go. I've combined everything into one, and simply for the fact of ease. And I've done a lot of work and a lot of digging into myself about what I'm comfortable with sharing in business. And this has taken me just stepping boldly in the fact that opportunities are not rare. The right clients and people will be in my life and in my path. I have really just molded this business into kind of a personal brand, but more so just really authentic. And I know Mary Grace talks about this all the time, is just authentic connection with people. And so it's not necessarily that there's any secret sauce, because there's not. There really isn't. There's no how to that's going to solve everybody's problems. The secret sauce is you and how you are showing up authentically. And so you have to ask yourself, is this in line with what my business is about? Right? How can I close the gap between prospect and trusted client. Because again, everything in business has to do with like, know, and trust, right? It takes 7 touches to have somebody like, know, and trust you enough to refer you in business or even do business with you. And so it's all about like, how do we touch with 2 hands? And I know that might sound weird, but like, how do we touch with 2 hands? How do we close this gap faster? And that looks like showing up authentically in your business. And so, yes, sharing that, your kid just graduated high school, or, sharing the kind of background story between your relationship. I think Mary Grace did that the other day with her husband. Sharing a little bit of background story that lets us in on your personal life just a little bit. It doesn't have to be, like laying it all out. Nobody wants to see all that anyways. But just making the connection so that a prospect feels like a friend. I have this saying when I go to networking events and just in one-on-ones, it's like, start with a handshake, end with a hug. Live by that in business, okay? Even when you're showing up online and you're not sure where to post, it's like, will this make the connection from prospect to client, and not even client, but just friend? How would you approach a friend, someone you didn't meet? Would you share some really pivotal moments in your business to be able to build that foundation and make that connection? Yeah, probably. And so when it comes to anything that is showing up in your business, just ask yourself, is this going to close the gap between client to friend or client to prospect? Like, is this going to make this person understand me and feel closer to me? Now, the other side of that is you're going to repel some people. It just is what it is. I can't even tell you how many times people see my business name and they're automatically repelled. But guess what? That is just data. It's just telling me, hey, you know what? I'm on the right path, because if I had a different kind of name, that person would have come to me and they would have tried to do business with me, and we wouldn't have been aligned at all. Because just like my business name, I am all personality. I'm going to tell it to you real, but I have fun and we laugh and we move our bodies, and it's fun. If that client were to come to me, they would be repelled later on. And I would rather it be like all these kind of, I don't want to say blockades, but like just barriers that the right client is going to walk real peacefully in between all those and go, hi, I'd like to work with you. And then you have an aligned client, right? So you just have to see stepping fully into your uniqueness and using your voice and creating that authentic connection is just creating qualifiers to be able to work with you. So think of it like a form. It's like, hey, do you like to have fun? Are you okay with a couple curse words here and there? Are you okay with the color purple? You would be surprised. People are crazy. Are you okay with, whatever it is? But it's like, know your worth. Absolutely, Brittany. But you have to know that these are all just qualifiers in your business to make sure that the right people are working with you and the most aligned people are working with you. Why? Because those people are going to get the best results by working with you, the best results. And so you have to really own that and just be like, you know what? Nope, I do cuss. And this is who I am. And you're going to get all these people that love that, and you're going to repel just as many. And that's perfect, because it's working for you just by you showing up. It's less work for you to do later on down the line. You're putting out fires in your business that actually matter with clients that actually love you, trust you, and know you because of the authentic connection that you're providing in your online space and in person. Like just being you, not putting on this face, not putting on, all these different stiff kind of boundaries that you're afraid to step in this direction or this direction because, you don't want to lose the opportunity. You see how that works? You can't live in that. You've got to step out of it and ask yourself those qualifying questions first before you show up as authentically you and not doing what you should be doing, but doing what you feel and know is right for you. But it all just gets closer to trusting yourself, and that's where it starts. Really, is just trusting yourself. And so the best thing that you can ask yourself if you're in a position, I do this a lot because I'm mostly on Instagram and I post reels and I post, IGTVs, I go live, I do all this different stuff. And the biggest question that I ask myself if I'm feeling reserved about posting something that maybe is like, oh, because those old past kind of beliefs are still in there a little bit. And they're like, oh, you shouldn't post that. Oh, no, you shouldn't post that. You're not going to get any business. So I have to ask myself, am I watering myself down to appease the masses? Great question. Again, if you have a notebook, write this down, type it in the chat for your neighbor. Am I watering myself down to appease the masses? Now, after you answer that question, you're going to follow up with this question. How can I honor myself in this moment? So what feels more aligned with me? You know, it might not be the full thing you were going to do. And if you ask yourself, am I watering myself down to appease the masses? And you're like, yeah, I kind of am. And then you're like, how do I honor myself in this moment? It's like, okay, well, how can I reframe this to maybe have a little bit of a balance for right now so I feel better about posting this or showing up like this or wearing this outfit? So how can I honor myself in this moment? And then how does saying no feel? Am I only concerned with their reaction to me saying no? That's a big question. Am I only concerned with their reaction to me saying no? That's usually the core of it. And then the last question is, who am I afraid to see me fail? Because that's usually at the core of it is like, ooh, I don't want to post this or show up like this because I'm going to miss this opportunity because I'm afraid of this person that's going to see me not make this sale, or they're going to see me as a failure. So who is it? Who am I afraid to see me fail? Great question. I have all these questions for you today, but I'm a coach. That's what we do. So all in all, more no's, no, means more, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to work with you. And aren't those the type of clients that you want to work with? You don't want to have to convince anybody to work with you. It's like, no, I love your energy. I love what you're about. I love your content. Absolutely, yes, I want to work with you. Take my money. We all have those clients that are like, ooh, I'm not sure about this investment and blah, 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 blah. And then we have the clients that are like, nope, already paid. Thank you. Invoice done. Like, don't we want more of those clients? Like, give me a yes in the chats if that's what you want. Maybe you don't, but I don't know. For me, those are the kind of clients I want to work with. Only 100% yeses, only. And really to get that is we need more boundaries. We need to set some serious boundaries. Again, that first step is just owning your voice and being able to speak out your voice and opinion on things. Even as simple as if you're going to go post a motivational quote, fine, post it. But if you're going to write a description, give me your thoughts on that. What's your take on that? What do you think about that? Because I think that's one of the biggest things. A lot of people post motivational quotes and it's like, well, I'm following you. So I want to know what you're about because I want to connect with you better, right? Just like I'm doing on this live, I'm giving a lot of opinions. I'm giving a lot of my experience, but people are resonating with it as opposed to just going through a checklist of like, this is what you should do. It's like, no, give your personality, give more of you and what you're about so that you can connect with people better. You'll have more aligned clients that way and less like just, problematic clients. You know who I'm talking about, those problem clients. I know one popped in your head. We love them, but we don't want a lot of those. And so that brings us into the power of niching down. So the number one thing, and I love saying this, your preferences are your policies. You are the business owner. Your preferences are your policies. What you prefer becomes the guidelines in your business. And it is okay to do that. It is completely okay to do that. You have to do that. It's your business. And to avoid a competitive business where you're kind of looking around trying to one up everybody else, you're focused on yourself and your business and how you can improve because you have policies and preferences that other people don't have. And the right clients are going to resonate with that. It all just keeps circling around. It's the same thing. So I want everybody to kind of think of, their one client who was a unicorn client. Just think about it. Who was the person that you were like, wow, I need like 100 more of you so that I can enjoy my business a lot more? Who is that person? I want you to write it down on your piece of paper. Write their name big. And if you have two of them, great. Write them both. And then under that, you're going to write what they do. So what was their occupation? Maybe if you're, again, I use real estate all the time. If you're a realtor, maybe they, they were buying a house and they worked at the, I don't know, the vet center, and the wife worked at, I don't know, the ER. I'm bad with all the SWAT stuff. So write what their name is, what their occupation was, and then write what problem they had. So think about what was the problem that they came to you about? Not specifically like, oh, what you do, but really specific about what specific problem that they had when they came to you. Now write down what solution you provided for them. So what kind of solution was that you provided specifically? And what was that pivotal, that word with me today, moment of, wow, this is an awesome client? Was there something specific that happened that made you realize like, okay, this definitely is my ideal client? Maybe it was after the sale or the contract or whatever it is that happened. And then the last question, was there anything that you provided to them that was out of the ordinary with other clients? So it was just for them. Was there any kind of extra little thing you did? Maybe it was just, like a little gift that you sent afterwards that you don't do to other clients, or maybe you took them out to lunch because you were like, wow, thank you for this awesome experience. Anything that you can think that was out of the ordinary for this specific client. Now, when you look at we're going to dive into marketing here for a little bit. When you look at your kind of marketing and how you're showing up, not just in your business, but like how you're showing up online, how does the messaging look through your marketing? So are you speaking directly to that type of client? Thinking about this unicorn client, now look at your marketing. Is that a reflection of attracting that person? If it is, then great. We have that. We've got that data, right? So we can take that and let's refine our messaging even more. And using this exercise. So this is what I think of anytime that I'm going to do marketing stuff. And it's constant revision, and that's just life, right? But think of being at like a dinner table and you've got 10 people at the table. That ideal client is at the end. Let's call him Bob. Bob's at the end, and you're talking directly to Bob about whatever that problem and solution is, right? Just because you're talking to Bob, it doesn't mean everybody else at the table can't hear you, right? They can hear you and they're listening, but you're talking directly to Bob. Does that make sense? So I know a lot of times when people say niche down, focus on one, people get scared because they're afraid it's going to exclude like everybody. When in reality, you're just focused on speaking to the psychological buyer journey of your ideal client. You want to get in their head and say what they're thinking privately, publicly. Yeah. So when you're talking to Bob, we've got people on the side that are listening that are going to align with what you're saying anyways, because they're probably still thinking it. They might not be Bob, but you might be able to still help them because you're still speaking to a specific problem solution. Does that make sense, everybody? So anytime you're wondering about your messaging, think of the dinner table scenario. I'm talking to Bob. Everybody else is going to hear, is this going to align with Bob, or is this watered down so it aligns with everybody, right? But it's not really deep and dialed in for them to move through the sale to purchase from you. It's just kind of like, it's like the motivational quote thing. It's like, oh, that was cute. But what's really going to sell someone and connect someone is that description that you write. That's your own personal experience and your own personal like opinion about that motivational quote. So hopefully this is resonating with you. Let me know in the comments if it is. And then let's see, we're moving on to the last little section here. And so the next thing we're going to do another little journaling exercise. I'm a realtor. Yes, I love my realtors. So write down on your paper, what makes you, you? And this could be such a broad question, but really think about it. All the stuff that we've already talked about, what sets you apart? Like, and don't even say that, because that goes into comparing to other people. What makes you you? What do you love about yourself? What do other people, and not just clients, but friends, what do they say that they just love about you? It could be literally anything. And for me, I dance, like hip hop. Let me clarify. I dance, I do hip hop, I sing, I play guitar. I love to lift up other people, and I usually have pretty good energy when I show up. People love that. And that's something that makes me unique. And it could be even just as simple as like the specific way that you serve clients. You do this unique thing, and that makes it really special for your clients or your friends, right? I had a friend that she was so good at like gift giving, which was like her love language. So that was easy for her to do. But she was so great. So like she did not miss it. Anniversaries, birthdays, Christmas, nothing, cards, gifts, like that was so special to her. And that made her so unique because she was so thoughtful about that. I can't do that. I'm just gonna be honest with you. That is something that is like, woo, that's a lot for me. That seems like a lot. But what makes you you? Write that down. Just whatever comes to your head. Now, how can you implement this into your business? So write that down. How can you work that special thing into your business, whether it be in marketing, it's in client experience, it's how you deal with your employees to create a better employee experience within your company. It's a better transformation for your clients. It's a better service for your clients. How can you work in that unique thing to you into your business currently, how as it is, without making anything super crazy? So I have one client company that they love to joke, they love to cuss, they literally just joke all the time, and they cuss. It's not like Gary Vee or anything like that, but they just throw it around here and there. We started putting, when I was still doing social media management, I don't do that anymore, but we were helping them put that more into their messaging and into their engagement online, and their closed business went up 200%. Like, what? It was crazy. It was a title company. And people, did they not like it? Of course. There's people that were like, oh, offended, which is fine. And if cussing is something that makes you uncomfortable, own it. That's okay. But it weeded out the people who were not meant to work with them. Because think of it, if they accidentally let a cuss word fly on the phone, with the client, that client wasn't offended by that. That didn't derail the client experience. It just kind of furthered it because they felt a little bit more comfortable. So you could use the joke or the cuss thing and just put that into your business, that example of like, okay, this is just another qualifier for the data that I'm receiving to be able to serve my clients better in my business. So now they have clear messaging, and their Instagram kind of skyrocketed, and they're just owning it. They're just like, yeah, we like to joke. We don't take everything seriously, and this is us, and take it or leave it kind of thing. And there's something so attractive about that, because it's like just stepping confidently into yourself, who you are and who you serve. And I encourage you to do these journaling exercises. What makes you stand out? What makes you unique? What makes you you? And it's going to look different for everybody. And how can you implement that into your business currently? So I'm going to end with this, and then we're going to do some Q&A. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat. But being unapologetically you and owning your uniqueness will build that magnetic brand that you crave, which is going to pull people in. You're not going to go seek them out, right? We want to pull people in. We want to create that magnetic brand, that magnetic community, which trickles down into your messaging, how you show up online, your employees. I mean, everything under the sun, it all just really, it's a cycle over and over again. So the last thing we're going to do, I want you to close your eyes and put your hand on your chest and repeat after me. And I can't see if your eyes are closed or not, but don't cheat, okay? Don't cheat. Close your eyes. We're going to say a big affirmation, and this really helps me to kind of recenter myself. And I know we've learned a lot today. We have gone through a lot. We've dove deep into some emotional stuff and some mindset work. So we're going to recenter ourselves right now. So close your eyes. Again, don't cheat. Put your hand on your chest, or your hand on your, other hand, or whatever. For me, I'm physical touch and words of affirmation. So this is really helpful for me. So we're going to say, I forgive myself for choosing others over myself in the past. I give myself permission to make mistakes. I am worthy of radical receiving and clients who I enjoy working with. I am capable of setting boundaries with others in business and in life. I am not responsible for others' actions or reactions, only my own. Today, I am deciding to choose me because I know this will equate to a more impactful business and fulfilling life. Opportunities are not rare. I trust my decision making. My success is inevitable, and I am always on the right path. Now take a deep breath in through your nose and breathe out. And one more time, deep breath in through your nose and breathe out. Okay, you can open your eyes unless you already cheated and you had them open the whole time. I want you to just visit right now. You don't have to type in the chat or anything like that, but let's just acknowledge how you feel in this moment right now. Acknowledge how just being still and saying those words either to yourself or out loud, how did that make you feel? How did that breath make you feel? Just acknowledge that. If it felt good and it felt releasing and it felt peaceful, I encourage you to, you don't have to say all of that, but choose one affirmation and just take times during the day to stop, pause, put your hand on your chest, close your eyes, breathe, and just say that to yourself. It really, really helps, especially when you're in business, because there's so many things going on in our lives, like constantly. We're almost like giant project managers, right? We're wearing all the hats, we're doing all the things, we're go, 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 go. And especially if you have anxiety, we have to create that time in our business. Nobody else is going to create this time but you. So you have to create this time in your business to be able to stop and love on yourself and just be you for a second and breathe and give yourself permission to take a breath. Most of the time, you're going to go into the next task with so much better energy than just trying to push through the day. I know it's hard to do, but try to implement just those little moments like that. All right, so we're going to do some Q&A now. Let me see if I have any questions in the chat. Oh, I have lots of questions, or not questions, but lots of comments. If you have any questions, let me know. I know there's a little bit of a lag on this, so I'll wait for a second. Brittany said, I need to learn that. I was always taught to be professional. Be professional. I'm normally much louder and I curse. Hey, own it. It's scary to own it, but you got to. How did I get started? So I got my LLC when I was 18, and I'm 26 now. So it's been 8 years, almost a decade of business, and just learning how to not only like become a woman, but also just learning what business even means and what I really wanted out of business. I jumped right into Chamber of Commerce when I was 18 as well. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about are stuff that I've had to unlearn and actively work on unwinding with that kind of like stuck mindset in business and that scarcity mindset in business. And so it all comes from just experience of like having to go through that and really just visit the reality of things, not what other people were putting on me that it needed to be. But it started off as entertainment. So I've been making a paycheck since I was 13, dancing, teaching, managing dance studios, different things like that. And through that, I did different events. And so when I was 19, I switched my business over to event coordinating, and it was kind of servicing everybody, you know, that whole thing. And then I learned really quickly, no, I do not want to do weddings. No, I do not want to do people's birthdays. That's crazy. And I focused on corporate. And then through that, I was still working marketing in the background with some of these companies, especially when I was doing corporate. And it just, I got to see over and over again, because I pivoted more into marketing, that the problem And the gap is way bigger and deeper than marketing. It has to do with business foundation. It has to do with mindset. It has to do with limiting beliefs and our childhood traumas and our all the things that we have to unpack. And just because it didn't matter how many tasks I gave my clients and how much I was like, oh, just do this and this will work. There's so many blocks to be able to get them to do anything because of mindset work, because of this, limiting beliefs that they had and foundation that just wasn't strong. So it pivoted me all the way to here. But all of those lessons that I learned are so great because I'm able to help people really leverage this so much better, and especially towards marketing. I've been a social media manager, the marketing agency, all that stuff. And so I got to see, the reality of these behind the scenes businesses, which has helped me today, help my clients like so much better. And I will pause if we have any more questions. I know we're a little bit over time. If you have to jump off, I am so thankful that you came. What are the services you provide? So, and this will just be my last question, so that way we can close out on time. But the services that I provide, I do group coaching, and that's kind of my biggest service that I do. It's a 12-month group coaching program called Impact. And we really just focus on taking those 12 months to fine tune every single operation thing within the business. So we focus on honing in on ideal client, the sales process, added value, defining a clear strategy, defining leadership skills, setting clear expectations within your company, not just with the clients, but also with your employees, so that they work on the business for the business instead of for their own goals on your company time. I think that's a big one. And so this helps more so multi-location business owners. But as far as solopreneurs, my realtors, my people who lead a team, I have one-on-one coaching. And so we just go through, it's a 3-month, but each month you get 90 minutes. And it's just an intensive. And so we work on what we need to identify, trying to see like where the gap is, what we need to do moving forward, and help you kind of just like cultivate and brainstorm this really magnetic strategy. I love that one. It's so much fun to work with people on that. And I do some quarterly strategy stuff, but pretty much it's just one-on-one coaching and group coaching as well. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you if you've watched this and stuck in with me the whole time. I know that was a lot, but make sure to connect with me on Instagram. That's where I live pretty much. It's just Hugs and Hustle, and it's not and, it's just an N, but my handle's Hugs and Hustle. And you can check out my website if you want, or connect with me on Facebook. I am in the Social Registers Facebook group. I go live every Wednesday morning at 11:30 Eastern time and 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, I'm pretty sure. I'm only in there for like 5-6 minutes usually on a live, but you can catch some good nuggets in the morning if you're on Pacific time. Grab your coffee on drive